Okay, picture this. You've just landed in Indonesia. You feel that incredible warm air, right? The sounds are all new, exciting. You get to your hotel, head for reception, finally ready to drop your bags and, start the adventure. What's the very first thing you actually say?
Yeah, that moment.
So this deep dive, we're really focusing laser sharp on that exact situation, checking into your Indonesian hotel.
Exactly. And we've got some really practical language learning materials here that just zoom right in on this. Think of it like, unlocking a smoother start to your whole trip.
Right.
We're looking at typical dialogues, the key words you'll definitely need, how sentences kind of fit together, and even some, cultural background about Indonesian places to stay.
Yeah, and our aim here isn't just like handing you a phrase book. We want to sort of peel back the layers a bit, understand the why behind some phrases, and really get you ready to walk up to that counter feeling confident. So let's dive right into that first interaction. The material we have starts with, "Halo, kami punya reservasi. Namanya Henny."
Okay. What's interesting right off the bat is how straightforward it is. In some places, you might start with a longer greeting or maybe a question, but here, Henny just states it. "Hello, we have a reservation. The name is Henny." Very direct. Efficient.
And that specific phrase, "kami punya reservasi," we have a reservation that's not just for hotels, is it? I noticed the notes say you can use the exact same phrase when you get to a restaurant reservation.
Oh, absolutely. It's super useful. A really versatile way to just get that key info across immediately.
Okay.
Now, looking at how she gives her name, Namanya Henny. See that little bit on the end of nama, the punya? In this context, it pretty much works like these. So it's almost like saying the name is Henny. It's a really common, quite informal way to offer up your name. And it kind of hints at something cool about Bahasa Indonesia, how these little suffixes can tweak the meaning or the feel of a word.
Okay, interesting. So when would you need to be, more formal then? Because just walking up and saying namanya, plus your name might not always be the right move, I guess.
That's a really crucial point for navigating, some social situations there. Our resources show that in more formal settings, maybe you're talking to someone senior or a new business client, you'd probably use Siapa nama Anda, which means, what is your name? Using the formal Anda for you.
Right.
And similarly, if you were asking, say, the name of an object formally, you might go with Apa nama benda ini. So definitely a contrast to that more casual, It really reflects how important showing respect through language is in a lot of Indonesian interactions.
That makes total sense. It's about reading the room, basically. Okay, now, what about the receptionist's reply to Henny? They say, "Iya, satu kamar dengan dua tempat tidur."
Right, so here the receptionist is just confirming the booking details. Very direct again. Iya is simple, it just means yes.
Okay.
And then they ask, one room with 2 beds, using the Indonesian satu kamar dengan dua tempat tidur. It's just a clear, concise check.
Let's maybe unpack tempat tidur for a second, because it feels like a great example of how Indonesian builds words. The notes say tempat means place or space or location, right? And tidur is the verb to sleep. So put them together, tempat tidur is literally a place for sleeping. That becomes bed. It's like you can almost see the logic right there in the word itself.
It really is. It's quite transparent.
Yeah.
And this is, pretty characteristic of Bahasa Indonesia. It often combines simpler words in these very descriptive ways. And it's also interesting where you don't use tempat tidur. Like if you want to say, I'm going to bed, You wouldn't say saya akan ke tempat tidur.
Ah.
No, you just say saya akan tidur, which is literally I will sleep. The focus shifts, from the object to the actual action.
That's a really handy distinction. Good to know. And the notes also mentioned a more informal word for bed, ranjang.
Exactly, ranjang. So, yeah, in a more casual chat, that's a word you might hear or even use. Okay, so after confirming the room, the receptionist gets down to the practical stuff, the key and checkout info. They say, ini kunci Anda. Check out hari Sabtu siang.
Okay, ini kunci Anda. Here's your key. Kunci, that's key, and Anda is the more formal you, which makes sense for hotel staff talking to a guest.
Right.
And then check out Hari Sabtu Siang. Checkout is on Saturday at noon. Nice and clear, gives you the essential info right away.
Yep. And Henny's response is just simple and polite. Okay, terima kasih. Okay, thank you. Totally standard, appropriate acknowledgement.
So, wow, even just from that really short exchange, we've picked up quite a bit about basic greetings, stating reservations, formality. But what if you turn up without a booking? The notes give some pretty crucial phrases for that too, right?
Oh, definitely. This is where your phrase book or your knowledge really needs to expand a bit. If you need to actually book a room on the spot, you can say, saya mau pesan kamar.
Okay.
The literal translation, as this source points out, is basically, I want order a room. Again, that kind of directness we saw earlier. And to ask the price, you'd use berapa tarif per malam, which means how much is the rate per night. Pretty essential stuff.
Absolutely vital if you're winging it a bit. And what about specific needs? Like maybe you need a non-smoking room or an extra bed?
Excellent points. Things that can definitely make your stay better.
Right.
For a non-smoking room, you can ask, boleh saya pesan kamar bebas asap rokok? Let's break that down slightly.
Okay.
Boleh is like can or may. Saya is I. Pesan is order or book. Kamar is room. Bebas means free or without. And asap rokok is cigarette smoke. So all together, can I book a room free of cigarette smoke?
Makes sense.
And if you need an extra bed, similar structure.
What was it?
Pan tempat tidur extra, using that word extra.
These are so useful, really empowering you to actually ask for what you need. And I saw the notes even mentioned a kind of shortcut, a mixed language thing you might hear. Saya mau cek.
Ah, yes. Saya mau checking. You do hear it, definitely. It's a good example of how language, bends and borrows, especially in touristy areas. But while it might get the job done, having the proper Indonesian phrases we've talked about, well, it's always going to be clearer and, frankly, a bit more respectful.
Definitely the better way to go. Okay, now shifting gears just a little bit, understanding where you might stay in Indonesia is also really valuable, isn't it? It's not just hotel versus not hotel.
Exactly. The cultural notes in our material really open this up. Penginapan is the sort of umbrella term for any kind of accommodation.
Right, penginapan.
Then you've got specific types. There's Sangre Loca, which we translate as resort. These usually offer way more than just a room. Think facilities, entertainment, the whole package. They're often near tourist spots and, usually pricier. It's that all-in-one vacation spot.
Okay, so that's the full-service destination. What else?
Then you have villa or villa. These are typically standalone houses meant for relaxing, often in scenic spots, highlands, near beaches, maybe in villages. They offer more privacy, more space, and again, generally cost more than a standard hotel room. A step up in privacy, often luxury too.
Got it. More independent, maybe more secluded. And then there's lawsmen. Sounds quite different.
Yeah, Losman is best thought of as a guest house or maybe an inn, generally more basic. They focus on providing rooms, beds. You might not get food service. Facilities are often limited. So naturally, they're a more budget-friendly option compared to hotels. More functional, stripped down.
Wow, this is actually so helpful. So knowing these different kinds of Pinjinapan isn't just vocabulary, it actually helps you match where you stay to your budget, your travel style, maybe the kind of experience you want.
Precisely.
Because staying in a Sangreloka versus a Losman, they're going to be totally different experiences, right? Different service, different levels of immersion, maybe.
Absolutely. It adds a whole other layer to your planning. You're not just finding a bed.
Yeah.
You're thinking about the kind of Indonesian experience you're signing up for.
Okay, so let's try and bring this all together. We've looked at that key opening line. Halo, kami punya reservasi. Namanya your name. Super useful. We've covered confirming details, asking for what you need, like non-smoking or extra beds. And now we've got this richer understanding of the different types of Pinjinapan available. And it really does all kick off with that simple, direct statement, kami punya reservasi.
And by getting comfortable with that first step and also understanding the bigger picture of accommodation types, you're so much better set up for a smoother trip, a more culturally aware visit to Indonesia. It's about moving beyond just, getting by and starting to really engage.
So here's something maybe to mull over. Now that you've got the check-in basics down, what kind of Pinjinapan actually speaks to you for your Indonesian adventure? Is it the convenience of a modern hotel, the peace of a villa, the all-inclusive feel of a Sangreloka, or maybe the simple, budget-friendly Losman? And how might choosing one over the other actually shape the rest of your trip, your interactions beyond just that check-in desk? What other initial moments, those first few interactions when you arrive somewhere new, what might they be, and how can you start thinking about preparing for those too?
Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe.